You know what I'm gonna do about it? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tweet my displeasure. That's right. I'm gonna jump on social media and I'm gonna tweet about it until my fingers bleed. I might even send an Instagram or a Vine. That's right. And on that tweet, in that tweet, and however many characters I get, I am gonna threaten. That's right. If I don't get what I want, I'm gonna riot. And if that doesn't work, then by God, me and my friend Mark, we're gonna stop watching. That's right.
A disgrace and an embarrassment to the WWE. Besmirch my status as an Olympic gold medalist. Was this some kind of joke?
Kurt, I wish it was, but it looks serious. Look, I'm on your side here. I love the job you're doing as general manager of Raw. You have this place running like a well-oiled machine, and I would hate for anything to come along to throw a wrench in that.
How'd you get this?
Look, I don't know what it is about me, but people tell me things. And I just wanted to give you a heads up about the information that I have. And I want to let you know, Kurt, that if I can help in any way, I will.
I appreciate it. If this is true, it could ruin me.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 56 of the one and only Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast here on this Tuesday, May 29th, 2017. I am the student of the game professional wrestling, Josh Lopez. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Notorious Joshi. Make sure to check out all editions of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast on iTunes. Type in Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, subscribe there. You can go on Apple Podcasts. If you find the podcast, subscribe and leave an honest review rating on the show. That's all I ever ask for you guys. I won't charge you money for this particular show. I'm here to hang out with you guys for the next 90 minutes. So wherever you're at right now, whether you're driving home or driving to work, or you're picking up your kids, or if you're going out on a run to Walmart, or whatever you're doing right now, I hope you're giving this podcast a chance, and I'm here to entertain you and talk about the world of professional wrestling that we all love. You also can listen to this show every single week on mindofcarnage.com. And I also have something very special to announce and plug towards the end of this week's podcast as well. We got a lot to get into this week, boys and girls. As always, I got to talk about Extreme Rules coming up this Sunday live from Baltimore, Maryland. That'll be a lot of fun. We do have a lot of audio clips today, ladies and gentlemen, just like per ritual with this particular podcast. Anytime we use any of the audio clips from the shows or interviews, they're not exclusive property of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. The audio clips are used to enhance our presentation of our podcast and make us stand out a little bit different from the others, and also enhance my points of view on certain topics as well. I'm not going to come out here like Dave Meltzer and come up with conspiracy theories where I don't have audio or visual evidence to display my thoughts on certain things. And that's where it's going to lead me to today's monologue, and we'll get to that in a couple minutes. But this is something special I want to talk about right here. Coming up on Friday, we're going to be celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the Pipebomb with McCool and Company on the New Age Insiders Network, and it's been an honor and a quite humbling experience for me to be part of this podcast. For those that are fans of the NAI Network know about the Pipebomb with McCool and Company. I add my thoughts to it, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm grateful for Matt and the entire crew at NAI for allowing me to be part of the show, and we could talk about the Smart Mark Go the Fuck Home tour, the Nimrods, and you can't go wrong with Waterfall, right? But Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm rejuvenated. I got past this random cold that I had last week. No shenanigans. The allergies are gone, and I'm rejuvenated, guys. I'm really pumped, man. We're into May. The summer's here. Things are picking up, man. So I'm in a really, really good mood here on this Tuesday. Now, my mood can change depending how much I go into this monologue and how much ranting I do during this monologue. But I promise you guys this. I'm speaking from passion when I get into this monologue because it's something that bothers me, and as much as I love talking about WWE and stuff, I do get enjoyment talking about the other wrestling companies. But it's unfortunate sometimes when I have to cover the other wrestling companies, it always involves behind the scenes nonsense that we can never just focus on what's happening with the product. You know, TNA is about to celebrate their 15th anniversary at Slammiversary, the pay-per-view, in July. And they're also just coming off Impact tapings in India this past week. But what is everybody talking about, huh? What is everybody talking about in the world of Impact Wrestling on Anthem Media? They're not talking about Slammiversary. They're not talking about the India tapings that just happened. They're not talking about the fact that Scott Steiner came back. They're not talking about the fact that Conan in LAX is back. They're talking about Ed Nordholm versus the Hardys. That's what's on everybody's mind. It's not about Pop TV and the fact that TNA's TV contract with them expires in January. It's not about the product, like I mentioned before. It's always something. It's always about Dixie Carter. It's always about Jeff Jarrett. It's always about Jim Cornette versus Vince Russo. It's always about Destination America. It's about this guy and that guy and Bob Ryder versus Karen Jarrett and this and that. And the story of life of Impact Wrestling just never changes. And like I mentioned before, I'm not going to come out here like Dave Meltzer and throw out conspiracy theories of why I feel this is happening or that's happening. That's not my deal here. I don't do rumor or innuendo. I'm a factual-based person. I provide my opinions based off of doing proper research. And honestly, man, it's just very, very sad and disappointing how low this company continues to fall, man. Like, just when I think the sky has fallen, it gets worse and worse and worse as the months go by. It's ridiculous, man. You know, everybody would be pumped about, oh, hey, Impact is finally doing their tapings in India, and nobody gave a flying fig newing about it this week. Now, you guys know me. I don't go out of my way to look out for spoilers. I'm not a spoiler guy. I'm a play-by-play guy. And it's just very unfortunate where just when you think TNA is about to gain some momentum or steam or whatever, it's always some nonsense and BS that this never stops. So where do I start here? I already talked about it in the past in previous editions of this podcast about the whole Rebby Hardy going on tirades on Twitter at Impact Wrestling. Today it's gonna be a little bit different. I talked about the Rebby side first. Now I'm going to go into the Ed Nordholm side, because this one touches a little bit more home to me, because Ed Nordholm decided to leak private messages with the WWE and also private information about contracts with certain performers out to the dirt sheets. I used to write play-by-play articles for WrestleZone. I used to write articles for BetweenTheRoads.com. I never wrote one rumor report in my life. I just stick to what I was doing best. And when you look at what's going on with Impact Wrestling and the Hardys, it just gets ongoing and going, and you never see any conclusion from it. But I want to play this clip here. It's an interview that John Pollock from the Live Audio Wrestling did with Ed Nordholm, and Ed talked about the fact that the Hardys should have known in their contracts that if you have certain characters on the Impact platform, Impact does have the creative rights to it, just like how the WWE does when you give them a certain character name. The WWE does have that right as an entertainment company to own that IP of that character. And then Ed Nordholm goes on to talk about whether or not WWE has interest into the certain Broken Matt Hardy character and leaking out this information to the dirt sheets. And I'm going to play this clip for you, and then you're going to get my full thoughts on what's going on with this Ed Nordholm, Rebby Hardy nonsense. Here we go.
A lot of people will want to know about the relationship, and there really doesn't seem to be much of one, with the Hardys, and what the end goal is here. Is that, I mean, that's got to be frustrating that it's this shadow that seems to still be looming over. And is there, will this come to some resolution at the end? Is this just going to continue at this stage where it seems like the one end are publicly making comments? You've kept very quiet about your own thoughts regarding the characters that you believe you have ownership of, and the Hardys that seem to be pushing as much as they can to play those characters on television.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe I have ownership of. I know I have ownership of. So that's, I mean,
but they're disputing that.
I don't think they actually genuinely are. I think there is unquestionably that the ownership of the characters in the storyline resides in Impact Wrestling. And I don't think even the Hardys would dispute that direct. I mean, they've all signed contracts. Their contracts are standard contracts not only in the wrestling industry, but in the entertainment industry generally. The producer of a show owns the content, and it doesn't really matter who in the creative team or a character who came up with an idea of what the character should be. The person that owns the storyline and the character is the person that invested to take that idea and put it on TV. And that's what we did. That's what Impact put those on TV under contracts with those people that are indisputably contracts that provide the IP to Impact. So I don't think there's any genuine dispute about who owns the talent or who owns the characters and the gestures and the costume and all of that. It begs the question about whether there's independently a reason to allow a character or a person to use the gimmick in other venues and in other circumstances. And there may be there's heat about that, obviously, and hopefully that gets resolved.
Are you open to speaking and sitting
of course.
down?
Yeah, I was open to speaking before. I'm open now. We've offered many times to find an arrangement with the Hardys that would allow them to continue to use the gimmick, within sort of reasonable parameters as to what's important to us and what would be important to them. I understand with the dynamic of their move to the WWE and the drama with which they created that launch, I understand sort of their plan to create maximum heat in that period from when they announced to us that they weren't going to sign the contracts to the date that they kind of revealed their new location for sure. I got the heat side of it for wrestling purposes, but I kind of half expected once that had been achieved that the thing would die its own natural death, because as far as I know, the WWE doesn't want the gimmick, and indeed from every conversation I've had with them as to what they want with it, and I've been told they have no interest in it, so I don't.
So they're not actively pursuing it from you?
Oh, God, no. I mean, we've been in communication because there's all this chatter about how we're keeping it away from them. And I'm taking heat because I'm keeping something from you. If you want it, why don't you call me? And their answer to me has been no, not interested.
One other thing I wanted to clear up, because the way this came out was back in March, where the Hardys appeared at a Ring of Honor event in Manhattan announcing they would be on the following Friday's pay-per-view.
Right.
What was the reaction on your end and when you first spoke to any officials at Ring of Honor? Because it was heavily teased they would be appearing at the pay-per-view as these characters, and what had come out was that Friday they were notified a few hours before the pay-per-view about utilizing these characters on their broadcast.
Yeah, I don't really remember the entire sort of sequencing of what was teased and what wasn't teased and what was out and not out. I mean, when Matt had decided that he wasn't going to sign his contract, he told me, and I knew what dates were lined up for the Ring of Honor, because candidly I'd been part of negotiating those dates. The whole the whole line we were running in tandem with Ring of Honor was, Young Bucks against the Hardys, and the Young Bucks were supposed to come to our taping in March that they didn't show up at. So, there had been a lot of discussion about what that storyline was going to run through a couple of months, and cooperation with Ring of Honor as to, they could use our talent on their show, we would use their talent on our show, and we would all, the wrestling fan in total would win from this. So it wasn't surprised to me that there were dates set with Ring of Honor to, allow that, that interaction between the Hardy brothers and the Young Bucks to sort of play out. And Matt confirmed that to me when he told me he was going to sign my contract. So I wasn't particularly surprised when he showed up at the Manhattan event, and wasn't particularly surprised he was going to be showing up in the pay-per-view event. The issue only arose as to whether they're showing up as the Hardy brothers or are they showing up as Broken Matt and Brother Nero. And we had conversations with the Ring of Honor people before the Manhattan event as to kind of what was good and what I was going to be good with and what they were good with, and I thought we had an understanding as to where the line was going to be, and they communicated to me that they understood our position and would honor it, and it became apparent in the day before, I guess, the pay-per-view event, that whatever Ring of Honor was putting forward as to who was showing up, that what was being teased and actually intended to happen was going to be the characters. So that gave rise to, guys, we did what people that own intellectual property does. You can't do that. But we had an understanding. You're not living by that understanding.
And how would you characterize the relationship now with Ring of Honor? Because
fine.
It's an interesting situation that you would see with the Fight Network airing both, that there's a lot of opportunities there between both promotions and cross-pollination even.
Yeah, I think the Ring of Honor people would have preferred we hadn't interfered with that show. I don't think that they hold any ill will toward me for doing what I did. So it's, I've had discussions with Joe from time to time, and hopefully there'll be other opportunities because I do think that, as you say, there's still opportunities for us to be working with Ring of Honor in much the same way as we intended to do before the Hardy brothers left. They've got lots of other wrestlers within their organization that would be fun to see against our wrestlers, and vice versa, I'm sure. So hopefully, as the heat from all of this dies down at some point, we can start working with them in much the same way as we intend to work with.
I want to thank the Law for that piece of info and audio right there. You check out the Law on Sunday nights on TSN Radio out there in Toronto area, and you can also subscribe to their podcasts on iTunes, and you can also check out John Pollock's Review of Raw show at Waiting, and all the bevy of podcasts that the Law Audio Wrestling Network has as well. There's a couple things that I want to get off my chest as far as what I heard and what you heard right there in that little bit of that interview. John talked to Ed Nordholm for about 40 minutes. The whole interview's out on the Fight Network YouTube channel and also on the Live Audio Wrestling YouTube channel as well. As you guys know, Anthem Media owns Fight Network. So you look at what Ed said there, and brought up the fact that the Hardys should have looked into their contracts, knowing the fact that when you sign off on a character on a entertainment product and you're signed to a contract, and it's up to the company they sign with to whether to exercise their option to control the IP of that character, because that's on their platform. That's their intellectual product and their intellectual property. And I sit here, and it's really unfortunate that both parties in some sense are in the wrong. I'm not going to fully go all the way and say it's all Ed Nordholm's fault, but Hardys do have some fault to this as well, because as much as I agree with what Rebby said on Twitter, about TNA and what's going on over there as a company as a whole. While I do agree with her with a lot she said, there's different avenues where you can handle those situations. Not telling Rebby to not be honest or anything like that. I'm not, because like I said, I did agree with a lot with what she had to say on that particular issue. It's just different ways to handle situations. And here's my issue with Ned Nordholm. I can respect the fact that he would want to work with other wrestling companies down the road, and maybe he's not accustomed to understanding how certain business decisions affect the entire wrestling business and how his demeanor and his decision making could affect those around him and his reputation. You know, we come on these podcasts every week and we talk about reputations of certain performers and how they conduct themselves during interviews, and maybe people come up with conspiracy theories because Seth Rollins looked out of it in a match, that means Seth Rollins is frustrated with his babyface push. Have you ever asked Seth Rollins that? Do you know if Seth Rollins doesn't like being a babyface? Like, it's some of the silly shit that people talk about in wrestling podcasts without actually having facts behind it. But I played the clip for you guys there. I played everything that you need to hear about that whole situation right there. That was the main thing I took away from that 40-minute interview that I watched on Saturday. And I was waiting for this podcast so I had the opportunity to talk about it, because we don't get to talk about the Impact Wrestling a lot on the Pipebomb. It's strictly more of a WWE show, and we get a lot more of your fan questions about the product and stuff. So we don't get the opportunity to talk about TNA or Lucha or Ring of Honor, etc. So you hear Ed Nordholm saying that, hey, I would like to work with Ring of Honor sometime down the road, or continue the partnership with AAA. No, my bad. AAA. There you go. And like, here's my issue. And this is not the first time that Impact Wrestling has made bad business decisions by going to dirt sheets to either defend their business decisions or to fit their agenda when controversies come out. For example, Mike Johnson catching Vince Russo sending out emails about what the announcers should say on Impact and creative ideas. Remember that big controversy that happened a couple years ago? Or when Mike Johnson and PW Insider were breaking the news about Destination America deciding to go away with Impact, and Dave Meltzer and all this other nonsense, right? Now, I wouldn't trust Dave Meltzer if my life depended on it. I've always said this. I'd rather trust my ex-girlfriend who cheated on me on my graduation day more than I would trust Dave Meltzer. That's how low I think of the guy. But everybody, including him, has been literally hitting the nail on the head on this whole Impact situation for the better part for the last 3 to 4 years. There's always some new breaking news about what's going on. Hell, PW Insider may be the biggest outlet in professional wrestling that's been hitting the nail on the head on this whole Impact situation ever since Impact left Spike TV a few years ago. They also broke the news about Billy Corgan leaving the company and all that shenanigans that happened last year. I remember talking about that a lot. We talked about that situation. It was like every week there's always some new developments with the Billy Corgan versus Dixie Carter lawsuit. And now we have this situation here with Ed Nordholm and the Hardys. So my issue is with Ed Nordholm. Why do you feel that you have to put out personal information about contracts and personal back and forth conversations with people at the WWE out to the dirt sheets? What are you trying to get out of that? It's not like you're going to be put in jail for holding a character away from people that don't work for the company anymore. You can't go to jail for that. And Nordholm just said it's not the Hardys' intellectual property. And I understand that for actually being part of the media business and being part of the entertainment business. I understand what goes into IP. And I understand when WWE comes from, when people whine about the fact that Cody Rhodes can't use the word Cody Rhodes on his bookings out in the independent scene, or other performers are now allowed to use their WWE gimmick names out in the independent scene. So like, that's the only part of this where I'll agree with Ed Nordholm. But at the same time, here's my issue, and the question I have for the Hardys. When you found out that Impact was moving on from Dixie onto Anthem, why did you try to restructure your contract toward the fact that you could regain ownership of the broken gimmick character? That's the question I would have for the Hardys, because when you're making decisions like that, this is not, oh, hey, we're just tossing off to another member of the Carter family or somebody into that whole mix. And I forgot the other company that was funding Impact. It was some company out of Texas. I forgot, but still, like, this is a big deal. Like, really big deal, because Dixie gave everything away to Anthem Media, and now Jeff Jarrett's back in charge of Impact. There's no more Dixie. There's no more John Gabrick. My bad. Gaborik. Like, this is a big deal. And the fact that the Hardys didn't go out of their way to change the situation, I as much as I want to see the Broken Matt character in the WWE, trust me, I do. I would love to see it. I'm a big Broken Matt guy. I speak his lingo every time I do a podcast or whatever I'm on with Brother Carter on Universal Chatter. I love the Broken Matt gimmick, but from a business standpoint, you have to go out of your way and make smart business decisions. If you're going to decide, A, I'm going to leave the company, and B, you're still in the company when the company made that switch from Dixie Carter to Anthem Media and Ed Nordholm, you have to go out of your way to restructure your contract. Now, we all knew the Hardys were going to become free agents in February. We all knew that. It was inevitable that the Hardys were going to leave Impact. We all knew that the Hardys may come back to the WWE. Now, Ed talks about the whole situation where Matt showed up at Final Battle, and they're like, oh, we're going to be at the pay-per-view, and the next pay-per-view, and then Ed Nordholm lays the law down, like, no, you can't use the gimmick at the pay-per-view. We all knew that controversy a couple of months ago. It's just very strange and very disappointing, because just when you think Impact it could find some new steam under new management, it's always old demons coming to bite Impact in the ass. And I've had my issues with Impact over the years. I think their PR department is very unprofessional. I've had times where I've been charged money to do interviews with TNA talent in the past. I talked about this back in my old pro wrestling experience days. I've had issues with Impact as well. They've used my play-by-play articles without my consent or give me any credit for that. They've literally taken play-by-play articles I did from WrestleZone and put it on their website just for them to get clicks. So you charge me money to do interviews with the talent from Impact because I'm not Sam Roberts and I'm not Busted Open and I'm not on SiriusXM and I'm not on ESPN, but my talent is good enough that you would steal my own play-by-play articles and put on your website. I've had issues with Impact for a long time. It's not an axe to grind with the product. The product is what it is. Everybody has their opinions on the show. I hate Josh Matthews, and that guy's a major prick. I came up and said hello to the guy when he was living here in Chicago. Come say hello to him. He's like, get the fuck out of my face for no reason. And he wasn't even with anybody. He was just by himself. And everybody's, well, come on, Josh. Josh Matthews is a good guy. He's a nice guy. Yeah, okay. Look at the way he conducts himself on air. Look at the way he conducts himself in interviews. You could tell a mile away how a certain person is, the way they conduct themselves in air. I don't care if they're playing heel or babyface, especially from my point of view, and I went to school for this, you can tell how a person's character and integrity is in the way they conduct themselves in air. I talk about this a lot on the show, and I talked about this recently when I was on the Rob's podcast. when I hear somebody in the show say, I'm just being honest, 100 times in the show, you're not really being that honest. You have to stick to your convictions, to what you believe in and what comes out of your mouth. I can't come on here one week and saying, oh, I love Jinder Mahal and I like what's going on with them, and the next week saying, oh, this is a mistake. Oh, they should have done this. Jinder was a jobber for so many years. Why are they wasting their time doing this? I lose credibility doing that. You have to stick to your convictions if you're going to be doing this for a living and if you want to be taken seriously. Now, I know a lot of people do this for fun, but I do this for a living. This is my life's work. I am a licensed trade professional broadcaster, and this business is very, very cutthroat, and this business has a lot of shady people. I could go all day talking about what happened between me and WrestleZone, but I'm not going to do that because I'm going to be the professional. I'm going to be the bigger man here. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of shady people in there, and the fact that wrestling media people like to act like they can pull off politics like the wrestling business, even though they never spent a day in their life in the wrestling business, is just very, very laughable to me. And the fact that Ed Nordholm would decide to leak out private information about contracts about these performers with these wrestling media news writers and et cetera, pisses me off. I've never been in the wrestling business, but I would be pissed off as a performer if somebody's leaking information about my contract on a fucking dirt sheet. That would piss me off as a talent. What if I was working for CBS and there was a controversy going on and somebody leaked my contract out to freaking TMZ or Hollywood Life or whatever other outlets out there? That's none of their effing business. I can't take wrestling media as real media. That's a slap in my face for somebody who's actually in the media. And I hate the excuses that people make for these wrestling media guys. You know, I come on here and I've ripped Vince Russo, and I have my issues with him, but I appreciate what he and Jeff do on that Castrating the Mark show. You know, I could disagree with how he feels about the product and stuff and the way he conducts himself and the way he talks about women and this and that. But the way he talks about the wrestling media people on that Castrating the Mark show is barely scratching the surface of how shady these people are in the wrestling media business. I'm not talking about strictly people that do podcasts. I'm talking strictly about people who run sites and are the main cogs of wrestling media from the dirt sheets. I'm not talking about podcasts, so if you think I'm talking about you, I'm not. But you know who you are that spew off rumor and innuendo bullshit to fit your agenda and your acts regarding against wrestling companies. And the fact that you're actually going to allow Ed Nordholm to reveal information like that, does that really give you credibility? Does that add stock to you? Oh, I'm the big bad Dave Meltzer, so I got the big information about contracts and leaked conversations with the WWE via email. That adds stock to your credibility? You should use that as a badge of honor? No. That's embarrassing, to be honest with you. Taz talked about it on his show last week, the Taz show. As a performer, you would be pissed about your information being leaked out to dirt sheets, to people that really don't care about your well-being, about people that like to slander your name to fit their own agenda. So I sit here, and while I'm disappointed with the fact that the Hardys didn't go out of the way to restructure their contract when Dixie decided to give the company away to Anthem Media, how can I not be on their side with this? How can I not be on their side with this? Jeff Jarrett's gone out of his way to conduct himself like a jackass recently since he regained the company. As much as I love Bruce Pritchard on the show, him being on the show is not making that much of an impact, pardon the pun, on the product. And to be honest with you, at the end of the day, whether it's Ed Nordholm or Klondike Bill or Jack the Beanstalk, whoever is going to be the next person to own the company, because obviously they'll probably lose their TV deal with Pop TV. This company never does anything right. They never make any smart business decisions. It's always, we need to play the victim cards at the dirt sheet so we could fit our own narrative, but never accept any accountability for the bullshit that they put themselves through. Like professionals, you couldn't figure a way to give the Hardys the IP of the character when they're deciding to leave the company. No, it has to be a personal thing. It has to be a personal issue. And it has to spill out on social media. It has to spill out on the dirt sheets. Unbelievable, man. And this is the thing that frustrates me, because we have people on the Pipebomb that send us questions about our thoughts on other wrestling companies and this and that, and they talk about how this company is going to give WWE competition and all this stuff. Say you want about Vince McMahon and say what you want about the WWE, but you don't hear bullshit like this going on in that company. I don't care if you don't like their product. I don't care if you don't like Vince McMahon. I don't give a shit if you think the product is stale or whatever. You don't like the way they conduct business, but they conduct business the right way. Everybody likes to harp on the ratings. That company makes more money out of their ass, out of more than TNA, Lucha Underground, Ring of Honor, and New Japan combined. And you don't hear WWE leaking out information to the dirt sheets. Not at least when it comes to freaking contracts. You'll get statements from regular media and stuff, but at the end of the day, man, I think this is just flat out embarrassing from both sides. I understand where Ed Nordholm's coming from with the whole IP situation and the whole he wants to work with Ring of Honor down the road. Cool, that's fine. But how does this help fix the image of professional wrestling? We come out here and everybody's talking about, the wrestling business is at an all-time low, and we're not where it should be like it was at the Attitude Era, and et cetera, et cetera. As much as I like today's wrestling as much or even more than back then, the outside of ring business is just what drags the perception of the business down, and that's sad. And at the end of the day, I hope there's a resolution to this situation, but I don't think there's going to be, because we're too busy to worry about what the hell Dave Meltzer and Mike Johnson had to say about the situation, instead of fixing the issue so both companies and both the Hardys and Ed Nordholm can move on and actually focus on what they should be focusing on. That's my monologue for this week. We're going to play a couple clips from last week's SmackDown. First, we're going to hear the segment between the Fashion Police and Shane McMahon. And then we're going to go to a clip of the New Day coming back on Talking Smack. I'll come back, and there'll be more ranting because I got some stuff to get some stuff off my chest about the whole Jinder Mahal situation. Hope you guys enjoyed this clip.
In the modeling and fashionista industry, outfit-based offenses are considered especially repulsive. In the WWE Universe, dedicated garment gumshoes who investigate these faux pas are members of an elite squad known as the Fashion Police. These are their stories.
Dun, dun.
What on earth is going on here? Who did this?
You wanted to see us, Commissioner?
No. I see you shaved your mustache. I never had a mustache. I didn't ask you guys to come here.
Listen, Commissioner, we know why you wanted us to come in here is to turn in our badges.
And after we lost to the Usos, it's understandable. We don't even deserve these anymore.
Their day one was just a little more H than ours.
You know, you guys, you're not real cops.
My dad keeps saying that. I'm starting to think you're both right.
Let me guess, you want our guns too?
You have guns? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Let's
No,
please.
easy, easy, easy.
Oh, we got these.
Careful though, it's loaded. Gentle. Don't point that at anybody.
Is that it?
Well,
No,
we
actually,
got a bunch of
this
stuff.
Oh, gosh.
We got this stuff.
Careful with
At this
that.
point, I mean,
You know what? We're a disgrace to the
yeah, we
uniform,
don't
sir.
even need this anymore. Just
Whoa, 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 whoa. Guys, please stop right there. You were showing entirely too much. A whole new side of you, by the way. Guys, you've already proven yourselves. You belong here. So Tyler, tonight, in singles competition, you're going to take on Jey Uso. In Fandango, you're going to take on Jimmy Uso in singles competition. Okay?
Do you know what that means?
We're back on the case.
Yeah.
One-on-one with the Uggos. Get your stuff. Let's get going. Let's go. Let's do this.
Need a patch?
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, cool. That's all you.
See you, Commissioner. Thank you.
The fashion falls are back, I guess. The case continues. Hey, cops love donuts.
Do you guys have your eyes kind of on anybody in particular in the tag division right now? I mean, we've really been firing it up lately.
We have our eyes everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah.
Our eyes
Biggie's got his eyes somewhere.
Yeah, our eyes everywhere. My eyes are on you too. And on Renee.
Yeah, that's right.
Eyes everywhere. A lot of good things happening in the tag division. The Usos obviously very dominant right now, but Breezango surging. And you know, American Alpha, a lot of people just sleeping on American Alpha.
Yeah.
A lot of
Don't
talent.
sleep. Yes, for sure.
You know,
They're a
we
good
always
group.
try to push ourselves to be the best that we can be, and obviously the tag team competition here is top notch. You know, so we want to kind of throw ourselves in there with these guys and see what's what. You know.
Right. This the Shinsuke AJ pairing also.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, child.
Hot fire.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. It's been amazing to see you guys and have you
we gotta
here
go?
on
We
the
gotta kick
program.
it off.
Kick us off.
It's been amazing to be seen.
I was just getting the word to.
I didn't get it.
No, who got that?
You didn't get that?
No, I never
I
got
got
that.
that.
Because I'm not in charge.
You guys
He's the boss.
That's
stay
okay.
all you want.
About here and
Stay as long as you
Wow.
want.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey, stay there. Hang out. I don't mind.
Actually, you know what? We gotta go.
Yeah.
What?
We gotta go.
I didn't mean to kick you off. I love you guys.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, we gotta go get our romp hymns
Way to
anyway.
go, Chuck. Way to go.
What?
Way
What
to
did you
go.
say? I said we gotta go get our romp hymns.
The
male romper.
No.
Up,
no,
up, down,
man.
down?
I'm not
Yes, sir.
wearing
Up,
a
up, down,
romper.
down.
I'm not
Next
wearing a
week.
romper.
Okay.
This is
I'm wearing
the
a
one
romp hymn.
piece?
All right.
Where did you get yours? Where did you get yours?
Hey, oh! Hey!
More trouble.
Yeah, we gonna leave
Okay.
it in the box.
Hands in the
Thank
box.
you, guys.
Get your snack on.
You got all.
Oh, nice.
We have to keep all of these?
Yeah.
Right,
You
yeah.
know?
Okay.
Spread 'em around your family.
Hey,
I'm wearing a romper. I'm not wearing a
thank
romper.
I'm gonna get a romp hymn.
you. Good to see you guys.
Male, good to be
Welcome.
seen.
Let me just say this, man. Whenever Renee Young is waving her hips, man, I wish Rob was here so he could hit the boing sound effects. Like, holy moly, man. Mr. Ambrose, my friend, you are one lucky SOB, man. Honestly, I'll say this, man. Renee Young is the greatest and hottest export that ever came out of Canada. It's not Trish Stratus. I've met Trish in person. She's a great performer. I have much respect for her. But from a looks department, Renee Young has it down, baby. Woo! Money in the Bank is coming up, and we have a lot is already planned and stored for that pay-per-view. We found out that Jinder Mahal will be taking on Randy Orton again for the WWE title at Money in the Bank, which is going to be in Randy's hometown in St. Louis. You know, speaking of Randy Orton real quick, I want to give a shout out to him because not only did he set the Yon Club members and Nimrod straight last week with the whole dive situation, but that whole RKO that he did to the step stun in the pool yesterday during Memorial Day, shout out to his wife Kim that posted it out on Instagram because that was really cool. The timing on that RKO in the swimming pool is perfect. I don't know how many times they shot that or whatever, but if you haven't seen it, it's out everywhere on Twitter and Instagram. Check out Randy Orton's RKO on his stepson. I thought that was sweet, but I'll give more thoughts about my whole thoughts on the whole Jinder Mahal situation because that stuff has been really bothering me, and I've been talking about that a lot in the Pipebomb recently. But let's talk about what's going on with Money in the Bank first. So we do know that Jinder will be taking on Randy for the WWE title again in St. Louis for the WWE title. Now they announced the participants for the Money in the Bank ladder match. We got Baron Corbin, we got Dolph Ziggler, we got Sami Zayn, we got AJ Styles, we got Shinsuke Nakamura, and we got Kevin Owens. So 6 guys, all whip ass, and they're all in the Money in the Bank ladder match. And now people are concerned, I don't know how you're going to fill out the pay-per-view when you have 6 of your best stars in the WWE all in the ladder match. And honestly, I don't think when you have gimmicky type of pay-per-views, I don't think you need to have 8 matches to solidify, hey, we have a worthy pay-per-view. I don't think it has to be that way. I mean, look at Money in the Bank 2011. Was it a 6-match show? Right? Yeah, it was either 5 or 6 matches, but Still, I like the decision they made with the guys in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Maybe it's a little early for me to buy that Nakamura's going to be in the Money in the Bank match, but whatever. All the guys in there are worthy. I wouldn't say there's anybody in the match that's not worthy. Ziggler is a former Money in the Bank winner, and you do have former Money in the Bank winners usually in Money in the Bank ladder matches, right? So I don't think Ziggler is a bad addition to the match. Corbin's going to be pretty cool in there. We still have the dynamics between Kevin Owens and AJ Styles. We got Sami Zayn involved in the match. Speaking of Sami Zayn, him and Baron Corbin had a rematch for Backlash last week on SmackDown. Sami got the quick roll victory out of nowhere, which kind of caught me by surprise. But man, Baron Corbin mollywopped Sami Zayn after that match. So we'll see if Sami comes back this week and gets some retribution, because Corbin absolutely kicked his ass after that match was over. We had the main event tag team match last week of Nakamura and AJ Styles teaming for the first time ever against Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler. Another good match. Let me talk about this on the whole Nakamura thing, because I already seen people getting antsy and upset with how Nakamura is being presented on the main roster. Let me talk about that really quick, because I just find that weird. The guy had a pay-per-view surrounded all about him. He gets to start out the show in a major market like Chicago. He's in the main event of his first in-ring action in SmackDown. He's added to the Money in the Bank ladder match. The guy is treated like a star. And I talked about this on the Pipebomb last week. I've never seen a performer get this much attention out of the gate in his run with the WWE since Brock Lesnar. Like, they're making Nakamura come out to be the next big thing, part of the pun. Like, seriously. They're making Nakamura look like the next coming of Brock Lesnar. Yet, I see people like, oh, they're watering down Nakamura's in-ring style. And here's an issue I have with the modern WWE fan that supposedly watches all the shows all the time. You know, a lot of people will just watch the takeovers and assume that's what it is of Nakamura every time he's out there in the ring, instead of watching the weekly programming. And I talked about this a lot with NXT performers. You know, when you have NXT performers come up to the main roster, you have a lot of these fans expecting them to be at the same level they were in NXT takeovers. Like, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Some people actually said that they wanted to see Randy Orton versus Nakamura out of the gate for the WWE title. Really? Nakamura? I love the guy. Don't get me wrong. I love Nakamura. He's awesome. But we're going to give him the title already when he comes up already? Like, again, I mentioned this a lot, and people can call me whatever they want and this and that. I really don't care. I have my genuine and authentic opinions about professional wrestling. I don't need to worry about booking decisions to dictate my points of view on certain angles and stuff. But to tell me that Nakamura needs a title shot already, or every single NXT performer that comes up to the main roster always has to be put in the main event slots, or they're being buried or watered down, I don't get that narrative. I don't. I mean, look at Sasha Banks, right? Everybody wants her to turn heel now because she's in a in-between program with Alicia Fox and Noam Dar, right? Everybody's saying, oh, Sasha's being held down. Even though we neglect the fact that Sasha's been fighting over the women's title for over a year and a half since she came up to the main roster, and the fact she main evented pay-per-views and all that. But no, that's just an excuse because the company doesn't see the full potential of what Sasha Banks could be as a draw. Give me a break. They don't see the potential of what she could be as a draw. Why, if that's the case, why the hell do they have her on the weekly programs every single week? Such a dumb argument. Also, let me get into this now, because I don't get it what it is, but it always seems like whenever we get an international performer that becomes the champion, and it's not from the Ring of Honor cult or New Japan cult or whatever cult you want to go with this wrestling scheme. If you have a WWE trained guy, the WWE designed guy, become a champion, and he's not from the indie style, and he's not American, you really see the ugliness of people and how they feel about certain performers. And unfortunately, there is racism in the wrestling media. I'm just going to shoot with it. I'm not going to say anybody in particular because that's not my deal, man. You should figure that out by then. But there are racist people in the wrestling media. I've dealt with racism in the wrestling media before on former sites that I used to work for. There is racism in wrestling media. And all these accusations about him using steroids and all this stuff, this really shows how low people are in their mentality of certain performers. Like, I would have imagined what it would have been like if Muhammad Hassan won the championship back in the Ruthless Aggression era. I want to give a shout out to my former co-host of this podcast, Adam Daley, for Wrestling With, which you can also check out at mindofcarnage.com. Because he and Sam talked about this whole situation on their podcast last week. And I thought they hit the nail on the head. You know, we can appreciate performance like Jinder Mahal because it's something out of the box and he's actually getting legitimate heat. But you know, when it's we want legitimate heat in wrestling, but when you have performers actually providing that legitimate heat, it's always this. It's an outdated gimmick. It's this and that, and it's this and that, and yada, 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 yada. And it really shows how ugly some people in the wrestling media are. It really shows how low class they are and the lack of integrity they have. Because you got to look down at a guy like Jinder Mahal because he lost how many matches? Like, I went off on social media this weekend because I saw somebody post out a meme and put it in a Twitter post saying, well, this obviously shows that wins and losses don't matter in the WWE because look how many losses Jinder Mahal's had over the last 10 years. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? Are we going to play this game where we're actually going to spend our time investigating how many wins and losses Jinder Mahal has had over the last 5 to 6 years as the reason as to why he should or should not be the WWE champion right now? Are we really doing this right now? How many times has The Miz lost before he became the Money in the Bank winner and the U.S. champion? How many times did the Ringmaster lost before he won the King of the Ring and became Stone Cold Steve Austin? How many times did Triple H have to job out after the whole current call situation before DX started? How do you know the ceiling of a performer if you don't give those performers a chance? How do you know? Look, if the guy's not your cup of tea from an in-ring standpoint, fine. Okay, bro, I get it. I do, I get it. You may not like him. Maybe he's not your style of performer. Maybe you don't like the way he works. Maybe you don't like him for the fact that he's not doing 630 planches to the outside. But this whole stuff of dragging up wins and loss records from Wazoo years ago, and you're actually counting wins and loss records from house shows as a shoot? Like, now I know why people make fun of us as wrestling fans. This is not a shoot. It's not a shoot. It's not a shoot. I watch wrestling every single week. I've covered over 300 wrestling shows over the last 2 years, and I don't even know the win and loss record of any of the performance on the shows. I've been doing play-by-play pieces for 4 years, and I don't know any win-loss record for any of the performers from Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, New Japan, 205 Live, SmackDown Live, or even Raw. And you're going to tell me, oh, look at how many wins and losses this guy has, so that's the reason why he should be the WWE champion. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. I swear to God, I'm going to pop a blood vessel today, man. We're so narrow-minded as a fan base today. We are so fickle and so narrow-minded on certain things in this business, and it takes the fun out of it. It does. I don't want to come on here and talk about booking every single podcast I do. Where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in actually taking a journey from going from one show to this destination? Oh, we don't have all the plots filled out in a 5-week build to Extreme Rules pay-per-view, so all that means everything sucks. Oh, why is WWE stalling to give Baron Corbin or Sami Zayn a chance? Why are they stalling for letting AJ Styles be the face of SmackDown? And why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Join the journey. We enjoyed the Ruthless Aggression era. We enjoyed the 80s. We enjoyed the 70s. We enjoyed the Attitude Era because we enjoyed the journey of these performers to get to where they were. How many times did Mankind get his ass kicked and sacrifice his body for this business and got treated like crap for booking, according to your narrative, got treated like crap from WCW and ECW before you hit WWE champ? Because that's the only barometer we're rating these performers now by their wins and loss records, right? How many times did Mick Foley lose matches before he became the WWE champion? The guy had a collective 21 days out of his 3 world title reigns. Do you really think he cares that he didn't have a long title reign? He's a WWE Hall of Famer. How many times Eddie Guerrero lost matches before he became the guy? Look what Jericho was doing. He came to the company and got in a feud with China. Chris Jericho came to the company and feud with China over the IC title. Now, I'm not going to say that's a bad thing. I enjoyed that program when it was going on. But the point is, you have these performers that come from other companies or NXT, and people have these lofty expectations of these guys to be in the position where guys like Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar should be. In the first month in their run the main roster? Are you kidding me? I love Nakamura. He's awesome, but you're really expecting me to believe he's going to get a title shot right now? Oh, put Nakamura in the main event of next year's WrestleMania, just like that. No, just for the hell of it. Oh, no, Seth Rollins doesn't deserve an opportunity to main event WrestleMania. No, Dean Ambrose doesn't deserve an opportunity to main event WrestleMania. No, Miz doesn't deserve an opportunity to main event WrestleMania. No, we just need our Ring of Honor indie guys to main event WrestleManias. I love indie guys, I do, but it's the fans that make me get disinterested with the indie scene. It's the fans' mentality of, oh, this is the great things in sliced bread. I enjoy all wrestling. I can't tell you how pumped I am to see Lucha Underground come back tomorrow. I can't tell you how excited I am. I'm pumped to see Lucha Underground come back. Yet we're still clamoring on this whole notion about wins and losses. And just because Sasha Banks has been losing recently, that's why she should turn heel. And because Jinder Mahal lost over a gazillion amount of matches over the last 5 to 10 years, that's why he should be the WWE champion. You got to be kidding me right now. You've got to be kidding me right now. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong because I don't look at this as a sport. Maybe I'm wrong because I don't look into booking decisions to gauge my enjoyment of the product. Maybe I'm wrong because I don't live and die by the behind the scenes of the wrestling business to dictate whether I'm a fan of professional wrestling or not. Maybe I'm wrong for that. Maybe I'm wrong for that. At the end of the day, man, give the guy a chance. I'm not going to come out here and tell you that Jinder Mahal should main event WrestleMania next year. Who am I to say that? Who am I saying that he shouldn't? Who am I to say that he should not have the WWE Championship right now? Why? Because he lost 300 predetermined matches? Because he was part of 3MB? I just love the revisionist history that we forget about the world of professional wrestling. I love it, man. I love it, man. It's the funniest thing, man. I've been doing podcasting now for 5 years, and this narrative still exists that we have to gauge the we have to rank these performers based off their wins and loss records. When the WWE hasn't given a flying fig Newman about wins and loss records ever since I've been watching wrestling since 1998. It's not a sport. It's entertainment. I don't care who gets offended by this. This is how I feel. I come out here, I give you my heart, I give you my passion, I give you how I feel about the world of professional wrestling. I'm not doing this to get a job. I'm not doing this to serve agendas. I come here and I give you my opinion. WWE doesn't pay me to say good stuff about them. TNA sure as hell doesn't pay for me to say good stuff about them. They want me to give them money to interview their stars. But I'm in the wrong because I actually look at this as a fan, not as a booker. I watch the product as a fan, not as a booker. But I'm in the wrong. All right. We're going to go into our thoughts about Monday Night Raw from Greenville, South Carolina yesterday, the Memorial Day Raw. I'll give you my thoughts about that, and I'll give you my picks for Extreme Rules coming up on Sunday. We're going to wrap up this podcast very soon, and I'll give you my predictions for this Sunday's Extreme Rules pay-per-view. First, you're going to hear comments from the Great Goldust and R-Truth segment. You're also going to hear comments from Austin Aries. And also, don't forget, you also hear comments from Samoa Joe as well, as he has a big main event match at Extreme Rules. So, we're going to get to our Raw Greenville thoughts in a couple minutes. Hope you enjoy the clips.
Austin Aries, tonight you made Neville tap out for the first time since joining 205 Live. How do you feel?
How do I feel? Don't touch me. How do I feel, Mike? I didn't really want you to touch me. That's a little weird, don't you think? Sorry. Listen, man, Mike, it's just another day at the office. This may be the first time Neville's tapped, but that's only because the last 2 times he was about to tap, he found a cheap way out. Finger in my eye. Got to give him his due for that one. Grabbing the referee, getting intentionally disqualified. Why? Because he knew he was about to tap out. Tonight was just the first time that he couldn't find his way out. He couldn't find a cheap way to finally doing what he's going to do this Sunday, and that is tap out in our submissions match when I become the new WWE Cruiserweight Champion, the fan favorite, Austin Aries.
Joe, the triple threat match tonight ended up going your way. You did pick up the win, and I guess a victory is a victory, however you manage it. But my question to you is, what does this momentum do for you with Extreme Rules just days away and you preparing for this big fatal 5-way match?
You know, let's not skip over some of your earlier statements. A victory is a victory. A little weird inflection in your voice there. Kind of tells me that you think that maybe what I did out there was a little bit dishonest, a little bit unearned. That maybe, just maybe, I might have stole a victory. See, it's a common mistake with people like you. People who don't understand combat, people who don't understand war, people who don't understand what it's like to defeat another person. What I did was called strategy. Every great general throughout history has used it, and so do I. A victory isn't just a victory. A victory is a victory. And as for momentum, it is very important. I have been undefeated since this match has been announced. And I go into the fatal 5-way, the most fatal man of all. You can tell that to the world and the rest of you people.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Psycho, 1960. It takes a lot to reach your breaking point. To reach that moment where you snap like a twig. I've been there. But now, I'm back in the director's chair. Back where I've always belonged. You see, R-Truth knew the truth. He knew that a star like myself was way too big for just a supporting role. But instead of letting me shine like gold, he held me back. He wanted the spotlight all to himself. Selfish man. But soon, I get to put an end to all that because our little motion picture, Golden Truth, will reach its final crescendo. Our ending won't be happy. It won't be sad. It will be golden. The golden age is back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration? Pulp Fiction, 1994. If Goldust wants to play around with the movies, well, allow me to retort. Where I came from, movies were an escape. Movies let me live through the characters I saw on the big screen. I took a lot of inspiration from characters like Shaft, Dolomite, Jules Winfield. Just like them, I'm a bad mother. Shut your mouth. Goldust, I'm gonna shut your mouth. I'm gonna get you. Because I'm coming for you, Goldie. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger. You gonna get got.
Somebody is gonna get got. Raw last night from Memorial Day in Greenville, South Carolina. I thought it was really, really solid going into Extreme Rules. You guys know my thoughts on the whole go home thing. I thought this was one of the better last shows before a pay-per-view. I know everybody has been rant tagging the Alexa Bliss Bayley "This Is Your Life" segment, and I agree. I wasn't crazy about it last night, to be honest with you. I was doing an article about Raw last night, and I was waiting for the segment to end, and I wasn't that crazy about it. Just if you want my honest opinion on the whole "This Is Your Life" thing, I didn't think it was necessary at the end of the day. You could have just had a regular talkie segment with the girls, and I've been fine with that. I just didn't think you needed to go all the way out like that. So that was the only part of the show I didn't like. By the way, is there anywhere I could apply to be part of the Titus brand? Because that guy is awesome, man. I tell you, man, the Maharaja and the Titus brand is over. It's like really, really over. Make it a win and get your money, ladies and gentlemen. Get that money. Speaking of getting your money and making it a win, how about those matches last night? From Seth Rollins against Roman Reigns, which was a badass main event, to Finn Balor, Joe, Bray Wyatt, the triple threat match, and also don't forget that 6-man tag team match that started off the show with Matt Hardy, Cesaro, and Sheamus. No, my bad. The Hardys and Dean Ambrose gets missed against Cesaro and Sheamus. Man, that 6-man tag team match was really, really, really good. I like the stuff that's going on with Goldust and R-Truth. I'm sold with that. I'm sure that'll be a program coming up soon, and I like to see it. I like what's going on with Goldust. I really do. And what R-Truth going back to, you're going to get got. I think I'm telling you guys, a lot of people are going to be invested into that feud. Maybe you may consider a filler or whatever, but I think Goldust and R-Truth could make this work. I'm not expecting a 3-month feud or anything like that, but these guys are going to beat the shit out of each other. It's going to be a lot of fun. Speaking of fun, I like the fact that MITB started off the show last night. It was nice to see him and Maurice more on the show instead of just being on commentary over the past couple weeks, and I'm actually really excited for this Extreme Rules pay-per-view coming up on Sunday. I think there's a lot of good matches. You got the Hardys, of course, against Shane Cesaro in the cage match, which I'll give my predictions in a couple of minutes, but still, I like what's going on with Raw. Obviously, they're not going all balls deep into the storylines and stuff. Like, they're not pushing the full trigger. They're not in SummerSlam mode yet, but I like what they're doing now because they are focusing on character development. You look at the character development that's going on with Alexa Bliss. You look at what's going on with the Titus brand, obviously, with the Apollo Crews. You look at, obviously, Goldust and R-Truth. I just mentioned it right there. That's another case of character development. And also all the 5 guys that are in this Fatal 5-Way match at Extreme Rules. So, I like what's going on with Raw. Still, everybody's going to harp on the 3 hours, and there's nothing you can change about that at this point. But at the end of the day, man, I really did enjoy Raw last night. Besides the This Is Your Life segment with Alexa Bliss and Bayley, that was the only part of the show I didn't like. But I really think Raw did a good job getting people invested into the feuds going into Extreme Rules coming up on Sunday. So let's talk about it. Let's finish the show off with a bang. Extreme Rules coming up this Sunday, live in the WWE Network from the Royal Farms Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. I swear to God, some of these arena names are just absolutely terrible, as Charles Barkley would say. But anyways, I didn't know royal people have farms. Maybe I'm slipping on my history knowledge. But still, at the end of the day, let's get this going. Rich Swann and Sasha Banks will be taking on Alicia Fox and Noam Dar in a mixed tag team match. Now we see that you have the lovely Sasha Banks going to be on 205 Live tonight. That's going to be a lot of fun. I think this match should be fine. I don't know if they'll add this match to the kickoff show or whatever, but I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm going to go with Alicia Fox and Noam Dar to win here. I know it's Rich's hometown, but usually the hometown people do lose, so I would expect Noam Dar and Alicia Fox to win that match. What else on the show? Don't forget Miz and Dean Ambrose. If Ambrose gets disqualified, then he will... he'll lose the championship to Miz. I think that will happen. The Miz will become your 7-time Intercontinental Champion this Sunday at Extreme Rules. The cage match, I'm expecting the Hardys to retain against Shane Cesaro. It'll be a physical match, though. It'll be a very, very physical match. But I am looking forward to that. And it's not the case where you see a lot of tag team cage matches, so I'm looking forward to this one. I remember the one that the New Age Outlaws had a couple years ago with Goldust and Cody Rhodes, which was really good. So this one shouldn't be any different. So, plus, you know, with the Hardys, they like to do a lot of that crazy shit. Bayley and Alexa Bliss, I expect Bayley to show out a lot of fire and aggression, but I do think Alexa Bliss will retain the Raw Women's Championship, which is fine. She doesn't need to drop it right now. I think Alexa Bliss will retain. Let's see, anything else on the show that I'm missing? There's not a lot of matches on this pay-per-view, and like I mentioned before, you don't need a lot of matches to supply a full gimmicky pay-per-view. You don't need 8 matches to have this as a barometer. Oh, wait, we have a pay-per-view, so we have 8 matches. Here you go. Let me pull this up here so I can find it. I don't expect anything else to be announced in the show. Like, we had this running angle with what's going on with Kurt Angle and Corey Graves, which is interesting. Obviously, Corey Graves can't get back in the ring, but you have the revival with Enzo and Cass. Maybe that's a thing. I'll be interested in it. But let's look and see what the other matches on the shows are. Neville versus Austin Aries, of course, for the Cruiserweight Championship. That's going to be a submission match. I do think Austin Aries will win this match. Austin Aries will become the new Cruiserweight Champion. And then finally, the Fatal 5-Way match to determine Brock Lesnar's next challenger to the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Bray Wyatt, and Samoa Joe. These guys are beating the ever-loving crap out of each other. The matches have been great over the past couple of weeks. Now this is go time. These 5 guys are going to kill it on Sunday. I'm going with Seth Rollins to win this match, and he'll be taking on Brock Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire. So I'm going to go with Seth Rollins to win this match. It's going to be a very physical match, though. I'll say this. I think Bray and Finn's feud off into their own feud, and same thing goes with Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe. So I think Seth Rollins will move on to face Brock Lesnar. So let me repeat my predictions for the show. I got Rich Swann. No, I have Nolan Dar and Alicia Fox defeating Rich Swann and Alicia. Let me rephrase that. I have Nolan Dar and Alicia Fox defeating Rich Swann and Sasha Banks in the mixed tag team match. I have Austin Aries becoming the new Cruiserweight champion. I have the Hardy Boys retaining over Cesaro and Sheamus. I have Alexa Bliss retaining over Bayley. I have The Miz becoming the new Intercontinental champion. And lastly, certainly not least, I have Seth Rollins defeating Finn Balor, Bray Wyatt, Samoa Joe, and Roman Reigns in the Fatal 5-Way Extreme Rules match. So that's my predictions for Extreme Rules coming up on Sunday, live on the WWE Network from Baltimore, Maryland. I think it's a good time right now to make this announcement. I started my own wrestling blog. This is not a news site. This is strictly a result-based blog where I do my play-by-play articles for the shows. That's it. Now, we do have some added bonus features to the website. Like, you get every edition of this particular podcast on this new website. And the website's called ProWrestlingResults.wordpress.com. I want you guys to bookmark that right now. ProWrestlingResults.wordpress.com. It's my goal to give you guys authentic transcriptions of these shows. I'm not giving you match ratings. I'm not giving you letter grades for matches. I'm not even giving you my opinion on the whole show as a whole. I'm giving you what happened on the show. It's just that simple. Full-blown play-by-play articles as it was meant to be, like I was doing it back in the day with WrestleZone and Between the Ropes. I'm bringing it back. ProWrestlingResults.wordpress.com. I have articles that I did over the weekend, like Backlash and last week's 205 Live and NXT. I covered Raw last night. I'll be covering SmackDown Live and 205 Live tonight. And bookmark that page for me. ProWrestlingResults.wordpress.com. And as always, if you want to advertise with this particular podcast or the website, you can send all business inquiries at joshlopezww94@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at NotoriousJoshy. I'll be back on the podcasting scheme on Friday, as we'll be celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the Pipebomb with McCool and Company, which will be a lot of fun. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I will be covering Extreme Rules this Sunday. That'll be a lot of fun. Make sure to like the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast Facebook page as well. I'll be sharing the link to that podcast as well. And more importantly, out of all the stuff I plugged, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and leave a review and rating and subscribe. That's all I ever ask. I want you guys' honest feedback for this podcast or anything I'm doing with my YouTube channel or anything I'm doing from an on-air standpoint. I want your feedback, and that'll help expand the reach of this particular podcast to more and more wrestling fans. So thank you guys so much for checking out this week's edition of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, whether it's today on Tuesday or later on in the week. Hope you guys are having a good week. I love you guys so much. Give me some feedback what you guys thoughts on my rants and the whole TNA Hardy stuff, and also the whole stuff with Jinder Mahal. I'd love to give you guys feedback on that as well. So enjoy Extreme Rules this Sunday. We'll be back here on Friday for the 1-year anniversary of the Bomb of Pipes. And enjoy Extreme Rules, and I'll be back here to talk about it next week, right here, and only on the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Peace.